Hey, I'm Jenny. Today I will be reviewing the Rumi Oracle, An Invitation into the Heart of Divine by Alana Fairchild and the artwork by Razuli. First of all, I would like to share that I do really like Alana Fairchild. I feel that she's a very spiritual person and very connected to what she does. And her oracle cards are very well thought out, very well researched. In this one, it's clear that she channeled Rumi and really had a deep connection with Rumi. And also for me, kind of depends on the artwork for me to connect with it. And the artwork here is very beautiful. I will say that the cards are really big. So I'm a tiny person, but they're pretty big cards. And that's kind of been like my experience with her cards from Blue Angel Publishing. They also make pocket decks, so like much smaller versions. But these are pretty big cards. They have kind of that more of a waxy finish than a gloss, really thick cards. The background's really, the back of the back card cover is beautiful. And the paintings are gorgeous. The book is thick. And so this, for some people, may not be a good thing. So it's kind of going to be up to your preference. With the Alana Fairchild decks that I have, minus the new one that is the mandala deck, they are like this. They're really big cards, and the books are thick. I personally don't feel that those kind of decks are for casual reading. So like I wouldn't use them to read for other people. I might pull one card from the deck as like a focus, but I probably wouldn't do a reading because this is a lot to learn and to memorize. And sometimes like this says the passion of the wild red mother. Now that may not be intuitive to you. You may not be able to just be like, I know what that means, when doing a reading for someone, or a new gown. Now, if you're really familiar with Rumi's work, then you probably are. You'll be like, oh, I remember that. I really know what this means. But for some, it may be hard to connect and to memorize. So like I was saying, what I use these kind of cards for is like a once a week pull. I do readings for myself every Sunday. And so I would pull one or two cards and really read the message and take it in. Her own suggestion is the simplest way to use the deck is to intend to be open from the heart and say, I call on Rumi who loves me unconditionally. Please help me now, then shuffle the deck and choose a card. Or if you're like me, one will fly out. Gaze at it and notice what you feel. Read the message for the card. If you wish to go deeper, you may also like to complete the simple healing process for the card. So even in her there is a reading in here, but even in her book, she's really telling you, like, this is more of something you go slow. You're not going to pull a whole bunch of cards. It's not like tarot where you need, like, the story. Each card within itself is a story, right? And there's a lot going on, like, in the artwork, and then there's a poem for each story. So kind of give you an example, just so you can kind of get a feel for it. So for card 14, and I do appreciate that they're numbered, I think like a pet peeve I have is when cards are either not numbered or not in like alphabetical order in the book, and they're in an intuitive order that makes sense to the creator but nobody else. So, it's kind of like, that's hard for me to flip through the book. So I appreciate that they're numbered. So number 14, Let Love Transform. And the poem is, the spring of love arrives to transform the dust into a garden. The call is heard from the heavens to bid the wings of soul to fly. The sea becomes filled with pearls. The dry land receives the water of life. The stone becomes a ruby, and the body becomes all soul. So if you love poetry, you love this kind of beautiful artwork, you really love Rumi, I feel this is the deck for you. And then it goes on with the actual message for like a page, 2 pages. And there's always a healing ritual, or she calls it a sacred honoring ritual at the end. And so there's always like a healing aspect. I find these cards, this kind of style, to be deeply spiritual, deeply healing, and it's almost like having a book on Rumi, like connecting with Rumi and his artwork and things like that. So the downside is it's not for the casual reading. You're not going to use this for other people most likely. You're probably not going to pull from this every day unless you have a lot of time, because to sit in the morning or the evening and read all that. You may not want to do that. You're not going to get quick answers, but what you are going to get is like a deep dive into the work of Rumi, into your own spirituality with these healing lessons at the end. And so it's a lot to think about, it's a lot to unpack. With her, I think you should always keep a journal of your readings, but with her work in particular, I feel like you really need it, because you may like pull this on a Sunday, Cosmic Heart, and then, keep it on your altar all week, and then by Friday you'll be like, oh, I get it. Like I get this message. Like it suddenly clicks for you. So it's, they're deep dives, definitely deep dives. And for some people that's a drawback. And so if you're not looking for a deep dive, then this isn't the deck for you. I do think it's quite beautiful. And I mean, they're all works of art. Like it's not at all a disappointment in the art, right? Absolutely gorgeous. But the artwork may not speak to you. The impossible made possible. You can, a lot of times we use the artwork and the symbolism in the cards to gain or glean the information, and this may not work for you in that way, or it may speak to you. That's why I never speak badly about a deck. There's certain decks I review that I don't like, but that's not for me to decide. I'm not the artist, I'm not the writer, and the deck I love, you may not love. Like art is always in the eye of the beholder. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. I want to do a pull for you, so stick around for that. Okay, I want you to take a moment to pick a card. You can pick 2, you can pick 3, and we're going to turn them over and look at them. The Star Mother Arrakis, the Lover and Her Beloved, Enter the Gardens of Delights. So for me, this card, to kind of give you a summary or my interpretation, is reminding you that you are a child of light. You may even identify as a starseed. And you are being invited to dance within the stars and let yourself be free and really share your light. The Lover and the Beloved is speaking to you about your relationship. So if you are in a current relationship, I take this as a good sign for you, that it is a good, loving relationship. The Lover and Beloved is an equal relationship. Like it's not one person loving the other one more, doing more. It's a very balanced relationship. And if that's not the case, then perhaps one is coming to you, but it's also asking you to look at your relationship and decide, are we equal? Are we lover and beloved? Or is just one of us beloved? Or is just one of us the lover? What are our roles? And the last one, enter the Garden of Delights, sort of like the Garden of Eden, right? Entering into our own garden of pleasure and happiness, asking yourself, what brings me joy? What helps me connect to God or Source? How can I really enter delight for myself? I hope this reading sits well with you, and I'd love to hear how it went for you.